The red sand and the silent gazethi sun on Valkara 7 never truly set. Its twin moons kept the red desert bathed in dim light, casting long shadows that never disappeared. Dust storms came without warning. But this day, it wasn't the wind or heat that made the soldiers tremble. It was her. They called her Zelia. No one knew what planet she was from. Her skin was a pale silver, her eyes glowing faint red, and wherever she walked, blood followed. She didn't need weapons. She was the weapon. She moved faster than any. Drone, crushed armor like paper, and didn't stop until every life around her was gone. Except mine. I was there when she tore through the squad. We had been sent to Sector 9. Just another recon, or so Command said. There were 9 of us, trained, armored, ready. We didn't last 2 minutes. From my position behind a crumbling metal ridge, I watched the others fall. Lieutenant Kamel fired his pulse rifle, shouting orders that no one followed. Sergeant Lena tried to flank her. She didn't even get close. One swing of Zelia's arm and Lena was thrown like a doll into the air, her scream cut short by the crash of her body. Hitting steel. I should have run. But my legs didn't move. Not from fear, something else, something deeper. I couldn't look away. It wasn't just that she was powerful. It was the way she moved, like she was dancing in slow motion through chaos. Every strike had purpose. Every motion was controlled. And her face, emotionless, not anger, not hate, just ... Silence. I was the last. I stood up. I don't know why. Maybe I thought if I stood, she'd kill me fast. Or maybe part of me wanted to see her up close. To look into her eyes and understand. She stopped. Her bare feet crunched the red sand as she walked toward me. No weapon. No sound. Just the low hum of the desert wind behind her. I met her eyes. And for a moment, the whole world went still. My breath caught. Not because of fear, but because I saw something. A flicker. A shimmer. Not in her eyes, but behind them. It wasn't hunger. It wasn't rage. It was ... confusion. She raised her hand. And then slowly lowered it. I waited for the end. But it didn't come. She turned and walked away, and left me standing there, untouched, alone in the blood-soaked sand. Why? That question haunted me. When the retrieval ship arrived, they found me shaking. Not injured, not broken, but changed. Why did she let you live? Commander Hall asked later. I didn't have an answer. I still donned single quotes T. But deep inside, I knew something had begun. Something the others didn't understand. Something even she didn't understand because I had looked into the eyes of death and seen a question staring back. Asterisk the question that wouldn't die. They called it survivor's shock. The medics ran scans, took blood samples, and flashed lights in my eyes. They said I should have been dead. They said the trauma might have damaged my memory. But the truth was, my memory was too clear that I remembered every step she took. Every drop of blood on the red sand. Every second when she looked at me and chose not to kill. That question stayed with me, louder than any scream. Why? I tried to move on. Command sent me back to Earth for recovery. Clean sheets, soft walls. People speaking softly, like I would. Break. But the silence in my head was louder than any explosion. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't grief. It was that haunting look in her eyes, like she knew me, like something inside her was searching, and found a piece of itself in me. 3 weeks later, I couldn't take it anymore. I filed a request to return to the front. They denied it. So I went anyway. Didn't go through official channels. I called in a favor from Sergeant Denko, an old friend who owed me more than one. He forged my clearance and got me on a freighter heading back to Valkara 7. I didn't tell him why. You sure about this? He asked before I boarded. You barely got out alive last time. I nodded. She spared me. I need to know why. He didn't understand. No one did. But I knew something had shifted that day. Not just in her. In me. When the freighter landed, the desert was exactly as I remembered, endless and unforgiving. But this time, the silence was heavier. Entire squads had vanished in the last 10 days. No radio calls, no bodies found. Just traces of battle. Scattered gear and blood soaking into the sand. And always the same message painted on scorched steel. She sees. I followed the trail she left behind. I wasn't afraid. I should have been, but I wasn't. Something inside me was pulling me closer like gravity. Like destiny. My second night in the field, I found the wreckage of a drone transport. 10 dead soldiers. No wounds on the bodies, just pale, cold skin. Like the life had been drained from them without a drop of blood spilled. I knelt beside one of them, a young woman. No older than me. Why them? I whispered, why not me? And then I heard it, a faint breath behind. I turned slowly. She was there. Not 20 feet away. Barefoot, silent, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Her face still calm, unreadable. But something about her posture was different, slower, almost cautious. She stepped forward. I didn't move. She stopped a few feet away, close enough for me to see the strange patterns glowing under her skin like veins filled with starlight. You followed me, she said. Her voice was quiet, like wind over glass. I nodded. I had to. She tilted her head slightly, curious. Why? I hesitated. Ben said what I'd carried inside me since that day. Because you didn't kill me, and I don't know why. A long silence. Then, the strangest thing happened. She closed her eyes and breathed in like she was remembering something distant, something painful. I saw something, she said finally. Something I hadn't seen in a long time. What did you see? I asked. She looked at me again, and her voice, though soft, struck deep. Mercy. That word hit me harder than any bullet. Not because of what it meant, but because it came from her. From a being who had killed thousands without hesitation. She turned to leave. I stepped forward. Wait, she paused. What are you? I asked. She didn't look back. But her words lingered in the air, soft and broken. I don't know anymore. Then she was gone, vanishing into the red mist of the night, leaving me alone again with more questions than answers. But one thing had changed. This time, she spoke. And now, the silence inside me was replaced with something else. Hope. Her past was written in scars. Next day, the wind howled harder than usual. It blew sharp sand into my eyes and filled every crack in my gear, but none of it mattered. My mind was still frozen on one word. Mercy. She had said it with pain. In her voice, not weakness, pain. Like it cost her something to say it. Like the word itself scratched old wounds inside her. I didn't return to base. I wandered. Alone. Following her trail was like chasing a ghost. She left no footprints, no scent, only silence. Every time I found a destroyed outpost or an abandoned ship, I could feel her presence, like a heat that lingered in the air. And always, that same phrase painted somewhere nearby, she sees. What was she seeing? On the fourth night, I made camp near the edge of a broken canyon. Stars spread out above me like shattered glass. I sat by a small fire, replaying her words in my mind, wondering why I, a simple soldier with nothing special, had triggered something inside her. Was it really mercy? Or did she see something in me, something not even I understood? As I drifted into sleep, I heard a voice again. You shouldn't be here. I opened my eyes slowly. She stood at the edge of the firelight, not hiding, not attacking, just ... Watching me. This time, I didn't jump. I didn't reach for my weapon. I looked at her calmly. And yet I am, I said. She stepped closer. Skin shimmered in the firelight. Not like metal, more like moonlight on water. And there, across her arms and neck, I saw them clearly now. Scars, old ones. Deep ones, hidden under the glow of her strange skin. Some were thin and sharp, others wide and jagged. They weren't random. They told a story. She saw me looking. These are not from battle, she said. I looked at her. Then what are they from? She sat down across from me, folding her legs silently, as if she had done this 1,000 times before on 1,000 different worlds. From the place I came from, she whispered, before I became this. Her voice cracked slightly. I said nothing, just waited, listened. The way no one had probably ever listened to her. She looked up at the sky. I was human once, she said. My heart stopped. What? I whispered. Not like you, she added, but close enough. We looked the same, bled the same, dreamed the same. Until they came. Who? She didn't answer directly. They took us, changed us, tested us, bent our bones, rewrote our minds. Only the strongest survived, and when it was over, we were no longer human. I leaned forward. But you remembered? She nodded, slowly. Only pieces, broken dreams, flashes of warmth. A child's voice. A song I can't name. And then, you, my chest tightened. Me? When I saw you in the desert, she said softly, I remembered what it felt like to be seen ... not as a weapon, not as a target, just ... as a person. I stared into the fire. The silence between us was thick with something sacred, something ancient, something broken. Do you still feel it? I asked. She nodded once. Yes, but it hurts. I understood. Pain wasn't weakness. Pain was memory. And in that moment, under the stars, I realized something terrifying and beautiful. She wasn't just a killer. She was someone trying to remember who she used to be, trying to claw her way back from the dark. And somehow, I was the spark. What now? I asked. She looked at me, really looked, and for the first time, there was no glow in her eyes. Only tears. I don't know. She said. And neither did I. But for the first time in weeks, I wasn't afraid. Because maybe, just maybe, the real war wasn't between species or armies. Maybe it was between memory and forgetting. Between who we are and who we used to be. Asterisk the voice inside. Her wasn't hers. Morning came quietly. We hadn't spoken after that night beneath the stars. She was gone by dawn. I found only the faint outline where she sat in the dust. Part of me expected it. Part of me feared it. But deeper inside, something told me this wasn't the end. I continued walking the edges of the canyon, hoping to find her again. Hoping she still remembered who she once was. What I didn't expect was what I found instead. Downed alien craft, buried halfway in sand and rock. It wasn't human. Sharp black metal, glowing veins pulsing on its hull. And there, scratched into the side in fresh marks, were symbols that weren't written by machine. They looked like letters, like someone had carved them out by hand. I took out my scanner. It struggled to translate, but a few words came through. Not in control. Help me. My stomach turned cold. I climbed into the ship's remains. It groaned under my weight, like it was alive and wounded. Inside, I saw torn wires, shattered screens, and dried black fluid on the floor. But at the back, a chair. No, more than a chair. It was a restraint. Thick cuffs, burned marks, and a helmet wired into the walls. This was no cockpit. This was a prison, and someone had broken out. I turned to leave, but froze. A soft hum filled the space. Then, her voice, but it didn't sound like her. You shouldn't be here. It came from a speaker above. Who are you? I asked, my voice shaking. The speaker crackled. Then, her voice again, but deeper, colder, like something inside was twisting it. You call her Zelia, but she is just a shell. A shell? I whispered. Yes, the voice said. We made her. And others like her. Soldiers, hunters, tools. I felt sick. What do you want from her? Nothing now, the voice said calmly. She is broken. She remembered too much. Saw things. She wasn't supposed to feel. I clenched my fists. Like mercy? Silence. Then, almost mockingly. Yes. I stepped back, heart racing. Who are you? We are what comes after, the voice said. And you are the mistake. She should have killed you. She was told to. My throat tightened. But she didn't, I said. Because something inside her still fights you. The lights flickered. Then the ship went quiet. Outside, the wind picked up again. I climbed out, gasping for air, trying to understand what I had just heard. XEL, you wasn't just a killer with a forgotten past. She was something worse. A prisoner inside her own body. Now, that voice, whatever it was, knew I was close. That night, she came to me again. No warning. No sound. Just there. Beside the fire I barely managed to light in the rising storm. Her face was different. Tired. Not physically, but like something inside her was cracking. You found the ship, she said. I nodded slowly. I heard them. She looked away, her voice trembling. They still speak to me, even now. They push, they whisper, they tell me to kill again. Sometimes. I almost listen. I reached out gently, placing my hand on the ground between us. But you don't. She looked at my hand. Then at my eyes. Not when you're near. A pause. Then she added, you quiet them. I couldn't speak. My chest was too full. Not of fear, but of something else. Something bigger than war. Bigger than orders or planets or species. Connection. A piece of her humanity had survived. Buried under scars, commands, and control. And for some reason, I had become the only thing anchoring her to it. Can you fight them? I asked. Her lips trembled. I don't know, she whispered. But if I fall. You must end it. I won't, I said quickly. She looked at me with sadness. Then many will die. The wind howled through the canyon, tearing at the fire, scattering sparks into the night, and somewhere in that darkness, they were watching. Waiting. Because they hadn't given up on controlling her. But neither had I. The memory she gave Meth next day, the sky turned black. Not from clouds, but from machines. They came without sound, dark silver crafts that floated like shadows across the desert sky. No exhaust, no wings, just presence. They hovered high, above, unmoving, watching. Dozens of them. XEL stood next to me on the ridge, eyes locked on the horizon. They've found me, she said quietly. What will they do? I asked, already knowing. Take me back. Erase what I've remembered. Reprogram the voice inside me. And then send me to kill again. I looked at her, really looked. And I saw something that broke me. Fear. Not fear of death. Fear of forgetting. We can run, I said, my voice almost desperate. She shook her head. They don't need speed. They need signal. And now that I'm awake, they won't let me stay this way. She turned to me and stepped closer than ever before. The glow in her eyes was softer now, human. I want you to see something, she said. Before I could ask, she reached out and placed 2 fingers on my forehead. And suddenly, everything changed. The world vanished. I was no longer in the desert. I was inside her memory. I saw a white room. Cold, surgical, filled with screams that echoed behind. Steel walls. Rows of people in chairs. Heads locked in place. Wires pushed into skin. Eyes forced open. And there, Zelia, strapped down, not glowing, not strong. Just a girl, shaking, fighting, whispering a name over and over. I couldn't hear it clearly, but it sounded like someone she had loved. Someone lost. The vision changed again. A battlefield. Not Valkara 7. Another world. Burnt trees. Black skies. Broken bodies. Zelia, no longer human, moving fast, deadly, and silent, cutting through soldiers like they were paper. And then, another memory. She stood before a child. A small boy crying beside his fallen father. She raised her hand to end him, but the boy didn't run. He looked at her and said, "Please." She froze. Her hand lowered. And that was the moment. The spark. The first one. The voice inside her screamed, but it was too late. Something had awakened. And it never fully went back to sleep. The memory. Shattered. I gasped as the desert returned around me. Xel, single quotes. S hand dropped to her side. I fell to my knees. She looked down at me gently. "Now you know," she said. My throat burned. My eyes stung with tears I didn't remember forming. "They took everything from you," I whispered, "and you still held on." She nodded. "Not everything." I stood slowly, my body shaking from the weight of what she had shown me. "You remembered love," I said. She closed her eyes. "That's what broke their control." Then she opened them again and looked to the sky. "But now they'll try to erase it." We both knew what was coming. The crafts above weren't just watching anymore. They were preparing. As the sand started to shift and the first drops of black rain fell from the sky, she turned to me with one final request. "If I lose myself," she said, "promise me. You'll remind me who I was." I didn't hesitate. "I will." She stepped forward and pressed her forehead gently against mine. In that moment, she was not alien, not weapon, not monster. She was just a person who had suffered more than anyone should, and still fought to hold on to the pieces of her soul, and I had become her last. Hoped that a storm was coming, but we would face it together, because mercy had been born on a battlefield. And now it was ready to fight back. Asterisk. When the storm came, she chose Meph. Sky opened above them. From the dark clouds, the crafts descended like metal angels of death. No engines. No sound. Only gravity pulling them down, one by one, circling in the air like vultures over a broken world. Xel Ye stood still. Her silver skin pulsed faintly under the dim light. The scars on her arms glowed brighter now, not with pain, but with warning. Her time was short. I stepped beside her, heart pounding, but not from fear. It was something deeper, something heavier. "We don't have to fight them," I said. "We can run." She didn't move her gaze from the sky. "I'm done running." Above us, a loud tone rang out, deep and cold. It wasn't just sound. It was a command, a trigger. Xel winced. I saw it in her face. A flicker of pain. Her knees bent slightly. Her hand twitched. "They're calling me back," she whispered, eyes wide. I stepped forward quickly. "Then don't listen." She gritted, her teeth, her voice breaking. "You don't understand. It's inside me, not just a voice. It's a presence, like a second self, one that only wants to destroy." The sky pulsed again. The tone was louder now, and then she screamed. Her body rose slightly off the ground, suspended in air, limbs shaking. The scars across her skin flared with light, and a strange sound echoed from her throat, not her own, but something darker, deeper, almost mechanical. I ran to her, grabbed her hands. They were cold, trembling. "Fight it," I shouted. "You are not theirs." Her eyes opened wide, and they weren't red anymore. They were black. Pure, endless black. The presence had come. But then she looked at me. And a tear rolled down her cheek. "Remind me," she said. Her voice was soft, barely hers. I placed my hand on her heart and whispered, "You saw the boy. You let him live. You remembered love. You remembered mercy. Her body shook violently. Her back arched. She let out another scream, this one full of rage and pain and refusal. The tone from the sky changed. The ships began descending faster. They had sensed her. Resistance. She dropped to the ground, breathing hard, and then she stood. But something in her had changed. The scars had stopped glowing. Her eyes were not black or red now. They were clear, colorless, like she had wiped away everything that had been forced into her. And what remained was only her. She looked up and whispered, "No more." With a sudden motion, she leapt into the air. I watched in awe as she flew toward the first ship. No weapon, no armor, just will. She struck the craft with her bare hands. The impact shook the sky. Sparks flew as metal ripped open and black fluid sprayed in every direction. More ships moved in. But now, she was faster, freer, like something that had been chained was finally allowed to breathe. One by one. She tore them down. Not with rage. With purpose. I knew it wasn't just strength that guided her. It was choice. She could have become their weapon again. She could have followed the voice, but she chose something else. She chose Emmy. She chose the memory of the child, the memory of a name she once whispered in her dreams. The memory of being human. The battle shook the ground. I watched from below, my heart rising with every blow she struck. And then, as the last ship exploded in the sky, raining silent debris across the sand, she floated gently down to the earth. Her body was weak. She collapsed to her knees. I ran to her, caught her before she fell. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at me, tired but alive. "You reminded me," she said. "You brought me back." I held her close, shaking. "You brought yourself back. I only stood by you." She smiled, a small, broken, beautiful smile. "Then keep standing." And I promised her I would because sometimes the strongest thing you can do for someone isn't fight their battles. It's stand beside them when they fight their own. The day the war ended and silence stayed there for hours. The battlefield was quiet now, no gunfire, no engines, no screaming from the skies. Only ash drifting through the air like soft, falling feathers. Xel you lay in my arms, barely breathing. The storm inside her had passed, but it had left deep cracks. Not on her skin, in her soul. I whispered her name again and again, like it would keep her awake. But she didn't answer. Then, slowly, her eyes opened, not red, not black, not glowing. Just human. Her voice was soft, like the wind over broken. "Sand? Is it over?" I looked at the sky, clear, silent, not a single ship left. Not a trace of the voice that once controlled her. "Yes," I said. "You ended it." A pause. Then she asked, "Am I free now?" I wanted to say yes without hesitation. But freedom, for her, was more than just silence from the sky. It was memory. It was healing. It was learning how to be someone again, not something. So instead, you're beginning. She nodded. Double quotes, "Will you stay with me?" She asked. "Always." Days passed. We traveled across the dunes together, moving through empty outposts, abandoned cities, and scarred fields. Where soldiers once died in silence, now flowers grew again, small, red blossoms pushing through the dust as if even the desert wanted to begin healing. We didn't talk much, but we didn't need to. Her steps were slower now, more grounded. Her eyes scanned the world like it was new to her, like each grain of sand had meaning. Sometimes she would stop and place her hand on a tree or touch the wind gently, as if remembering what it meant to feel at night. She would sit close to the fire and hum something soft. It wasn't a song she fully remembered, just broken notes, fragments of a lullaby from another life. But I never asked her to finish it. It was enough that she still tried. One morning, we reached a ruined village. No people. Only walls burned black and metal signs twisted from heat. She stopped at the center and sat. Quietly. I sat beside her. After a long silence, she whispered, "This is where I first woke up." As their weapon. My heart tightened. "You're not that anymore," I said. She looked at her hands. "I know, but part of me still aches." "That's good," I replied. She turned to me, confused. "Because it means you still feel," I said gently. "And feeling is what makes you human." Her eyes filled with tears, but this time she didn't hide them. She let them fall. Later that evening, a beacon activated on the hill near the village, not a military one, but humanitarian. Rescue teams were finally arriving. Weeks too late for most. A human commander stepped down from the ship, scanning the two of us with caution. Soldiers held their rifles low but ready. Xelia stood beside me, unarmed, unflinching. The commander looked at her. "That's the one, isn't it? The one who slaughtered our people?" I stepped forward. "That was her," I said. "But not anymore?" The commander frowned. "And you trust her?" I looked at her. The scars, the quiet pain, the long battle to reclaim herself, and then answered, "With my life." A long silence passed. Then the commander nodded once. "Then we'll listen." Weeks turned into months. Xelia joined the recovery efforts. She refused titles, refused recognition. She just worked, quietly, humbly, planting trees in burned-out fields, carrying supplies through rubble, teaching children how to sing the lullaby she once barely remembered. The soldiers stopped fearing her. The world slowly forgave her, but more importantly, she forgave herself. One evening, while we sat under the stars, I asked her the question that had once haunted me. "Why did you spare me that day, the very first day?" She smiled gently. And for the first time, she answered without hesitation, "Because your eyes didn't look at me like a monster. They looked at me like I was still someone." I took her hand. And we watched the stars in silence, not as soldier and weapon. But as two souls who had survived something dark and found something brighter in each other.